Now I'd like to recognize Mr. Moore for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here today. Appreciate it. So as we work to do a better job to support families across the country, I also believe that it's important this committee needs to do more to make the Capitol complex more friendly for expectant members and staff, as well as for those with young kids. Speaker Johnson just announced his intention to find ways to allow new moms to have access to lactation rooms close to the House floor, which is an effort that I certainly fully support. Mr. Austin, can you tell me about the existing status of the lactation rooms on campus for expectant mothers? How many do we have compared to how many the Senate has? What additional resources would your office need to expand access if there is a need for more spaces?
Sir, thank you for the question. The overall status is we have 17 lactation suites across the campus entirely. Each one of those suites varies to have as low as 1 seat to as many as 8 suites. So they vary about 3 to 4 per suite would be the average associated with that. There is 1 suite in each one of the House office buildings as well as 2 inside the Capitol. In the House office buildings, there's 27 seats total, and in the Capitol, there's a total of 6 seats in the Capitol building for lactation rooms. I would have to get back to you as far as how that compares to the Senate, but again, there are ones across the campus. We are working with the Office of the Attending Physician for what are the requirements for additional ones. There was a study that was funded in previous years that was executed in FY24 to look at the needs of lactation rooms across the campus, as well as if there's any modifications to the existing lactation rooms that need to be made. We expect to get those results this year, and we will look to work with your committee if we need additional funding to make any modifications or additions.
And then specifically the ones that would be out off the House floor, is that in process currently?
Well, there are 2 in the Capitol building itself. I can't speak to you right now exactly how close they are to the House floor itself, but pretty much anything within about a 2-minute walk from the House floor to any spot inside the Capitol, at least the level we're talking about, which are the lower levels.
Okay, and then how about reserved parking spots near entrances and elevators available for expectant mothers? Is that something y'all are working on as well?
Unfortunately, I'd have to defer to the House Sergeant at Arms because they control parking on the House side of campus
Okay.
and the allocation of parking spots.
And then are there additional opportunities that this committee should consider funding to make the complex more family-friendly for members or staffs or visitors that we're currently not contemplating?
We do work with the Office of Congressional Accessibility Services for some of the requests. To the previous question, we are looking to make it more ADA as well as family-friendly. We have, if you look in the Capitol Visitor Center, all the family changing rooms, the single-stall restrooms and things of that nature that are available. But unfortunately, because of the historic nature of the campus, when they weren't quite as focused on those accessibility issues, we do have some work to do in the rest of campus, and that's always that balance between the historic nature of the buildings versus the modern requirements to facilitate access.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Appreciate that. Now I recognize Mr. Strong for his 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member. I want to begin by thanking each of the witnesses and their staff for being here, your hard dedication and work for the U.S. House of Representatives. All of your efforts are critical to ensuring the smooth operation of our historic institutions and safeguarding Americans' history for future generations. Mr. Austin, could you please provide us with a status update on the Cannon House Office Building renewal project and its projected completion, and are there penalties if not completed on time?
Sir, thank you for the question. So I know Cannon has been a long road to get to where we are today. We spoke earlier about being a 10-year project. The good news on that is that all the hard hats and major construction will be off campus by the end of this calendar year. So you've already seen some of that demobilization that's happening with the removal of some of the scaffolding in the courtyard of Cannon, as well as the retrograde of some of the equipment that's been stored there essentially since the beginning of this project. So there will still be some punch list items, maybe some warranty items that might be happening at the end of this year, but we believe that the project will be complete by the end of this calendar year. As far as your second point, as far as penalties, that is written into the contract. We have not had to exercise that to this date, but we are actively working with the contractor and are willing and ready to enforce liquidated damages if needed.
Thank you. We have elevators and escalators that are frequently out of service. Does this service, do we have a service contract, or is this handled in-house? How are elevators and escalators handled in our facilities?
The answer to your question, sir, is it's both. We have a dedicated elevator and a vertical conveyance team that works on escalators and elevators that work throughout on the House side and the Capitol as well as the Senate side. But for repairs that require more technical expertise and more equipment, we do have a service contract with several contractors. And we're working to expand that to have additional CLINs on the contract so it can be utilized by different jurisdictions. Overall, as of today, I'm happy to say on the House side, 84 of the 85 elevators on the House side are fully operational. There's one down in the Ford right now. And I know every escalator and elevator, when it goes out, is an impact to the staff, and it's very visible. But we are working with the support of Congress to get proactive with our maintenance on these elevators. We're looking for a 20-year round-robin project to replace every elevator over the next 20 years. We have new ones, obviously, with Canon that came with a different mechanical system that will be as part of that, but those are the new ones. But we are also are funded for a system that will provide real-time monitoring of those elevators so that we don't have to wait for the phone call when one of those goes out.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you the escalators don't work like they ought to work in here, and I think that we need to put a special focus on it. Coming to this committee meeting, I took about 27 steps up an escalator that hadn't worked for a while, and it needs to be addressed. I'm not sure who's over escalators and elevators, but in my 2 years in Congress, I will tell you, we need to put a better focus on it. Mr. Austin, security is clearly a priority in your fiscal year 2026 request. Can you provide more details on how the requested funds will support the United States Capitol Police and the House Senate Sergeant at Arms, particularly in terms of infrastructure and upgrades on system replacements?
So this is probably a longer response I could give you in this forum, sir, and I'd be happy to work with your staff and would provide specifics to it, especially ones that probably aren't best discussed in an open forum. We are continuing the door replacement program, as I alluded to earlier. There's additional conduit being put in for more security cameras, and we're looking for opportunities for additional lighting on the Capitol campus, especially on the south side of campus, for some of those spaces require more active monitoring. And the biggest one, of course, is going to be the House screening facility, which will be going on the south side of the Capitol building, and we'll be doing pedestrian screening, and that project will begin it later this year, and will be complete before FY29.
When construction is completed in Cannon, do you anticipate any other doors being opened for ingress and egress for staff?
Outside of the ones that have been closed for construction, not at this time, but I can take that question to U.S. Capitol Police and see if they have any requests to open those. There's certainly capability to do so, but some of that goes towards the availability of officers to man those screening checkpoints and the magnetometers and things of that nature.
The doors closest to public transportation are obviously the ones that are utilized the most, and especially when it was 8 degrees. I do know that right there was a situation that we saw, and hope that will be corrected whenever the construction completed. Switching to you, Dr. Hayden, your fiscal year 2026 budget lists 3 new requests alongside the resubmission of 3 fiscal years 2025 requests. How does the library plan to balance funding and resources for these requests to make sure both sets are successfully implemented?
As I mentioned earlier, with the 3 new requests, they in fact do not require FTEs. And so we will be able to use contractual services that are needed to fulfill what we are trying to accomplish. And with the re-requests, we reduced the number of staff that would be required, and we looked at those re-requests very carefully to make sure that we adjusted for the current economic conditions.
The library's staffing levels have retained largely unchanged since fiscal year 2015, yet the scope of programs and services has grown significantly. Dr. Hayden, how do you ensure this expansion does not overextend staff or compromise the library's core mission, particularly its service to Congress and the American people?
As you just heard, and we're very pleased to have the new director of CRS here, because that is our primary mission. And so the focus has been on making sure that as that level has been reduced since the 1990s, which was the library's highest level of staffing, that we carefully looked at workflows. We looked at how we could make sure that there's talent that's coming in, but also retaining a very high level of staff expertise and experience. So we have to balance those two.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.